morning. Let's get a few questions out of the way. One, it's not actually morning. It's like 1:51. It's almost 2. I spent the morning editing the Vlogmas that went up today. 2, did you put on a full face of makeup for this video? I did a whole face of it just for this. I'm not going anywhere. I will be at home. 3, did you do a genuine ballerina bun just to have it be crooked and then say it? Not to be bothered. Also true. Is this your second iced espresso of the day? It is. Are your leggings covered in dog hair? They are. There's a dog watching me film this from the loft. She is covered in blankets and she looks so snuggly and her eyes are just I'll let you guess which one it is, but she's so cute and she's just like, I want to watch you but I'm also sleepy. Anyway, I got distracted there for a moment. Oh yeah, I didn't send myself the notes I had on this. Whoopsies. Hold please. And we're back. We are officially moving the tiny house. I live in a tiny house. Don't know if I mentioned that enough. Officially moving the tiny house tomorrow. So it has been 9 months of living in a tiny house, and that's like hot. That's like the hot thing to be videoing, and I've just completely not exploited that whatsoever so far in this Vlogmas situation. I'm going to, since it's our last day here before we have to pack everything up and move everything, talk about what I love about living in a tiny house, issues with this particular tiny house, things that we're still working on because it's still a work in progress. Things that I love about going tiny. I hate it. I'm going tiny. I hate it. I hate that phrase. Anyway, the things I love about living in a tiny house. I like the way it looks. I think we had a house, a full I don't know square footage off my bat. Well, it was a 3-bedroom, full split level house. And I was just overwhelmed with the amount that you need to decorate and I don't know. I'm not good at that stuff. So I like that I like the look, and I like that if I wanted to change up the entire look of this house, it would not take that much money in the scheme of things, and it wouldn't be that difficult. And yeah, like for example, we will be decorating for Christmas and it won't be that difficult, but you'll walk in and hopefully it'll look like Christmas. We'll see. Fingers crossed. I relatively know where everything I need is. Like when you're in a big house, I don't know, you lose batteries, you just freak. It's like when we were in our old house, we had an entire bedroom full of stuff that we lived there for 3 years, and we had an entire bedroom just that we threw boxes in. We moved in, we never opened them, and we had no clue what was in that entire room, which I mean that's not universal to everybody. It's just what we did, and that's why I think this works out better for us, because I relatively know where everything is, and if it's something I don't need, I get rid of it. Like it makes me get rid of it because like why do I don't need it, and I'm aware of it because it's in the way. Kind of onto that, I enjoy having less stuff, which sounds douchey. Sorry. I don't mean it in a douchey way. It's just I am weird. Stuff stresses me out. Like my brain is always trying to be aware of all the stuff I own. Is it okay? Is it all right? Is it breaking? Where did I put it? And now my brain has less of that to deal with. There's just less stuff to think about. Like, is that thing clean? Did I dry that thing? I wonder where that thing is. There's just, I can look at my house and I know where everything is. Most importantly, I can clean this whole thing in an hour. Like, I can let it go. It can be rough o'clock, but there is no reason for me not to be able to clean this thing top to bottom in an hour. And I just hate cleaning. I hate, there's a lady on TikTok, she calls them care tasks. I'm one of those. I hate them. I hate, all that jazz. Hates. That's dramatic. That's a dramatic way to say it. Dislikes, discomforts. I don't enjoy living in an RV park. It is what happened because we were running out of time and we just, I don't know, picked an RV park. But I just don't enjoy living in an RV park. There's not a lot of space. There's a lot of in and out of people because it's like a vacation spot. There are people who stay here all the time, like around us, but it's not as friendly of an environment as I had expected an RV park to be. And maybe that's because of the current COVID situation, but there's no one our age, and I don't know, I just don't like living in an RV park, which is not necessary. You don't have to live in an RV park if you're in a tiny home, so it's just how we are currently. Another issue, or one of the biggest issues I have with this, is when you get a tiny home built, it's not like you can just go and buy a tiny home for used tiny home. That would probably be cheaper and whatnot, but we had this one built, and I don't know, I've never built a house before, so this might be just how building a house is. There's just things that we asked for that didn't get done, or things that weren't communicated to us properly. So there's just things that we now have to go back and fix that you would think have been addressed because you're building the house from square one, so it should be everything you asked for. There is an issue where we wanted Sonos speakers on both sides of the kitchen to listen to music, and we requested outlets on both sides, and they forgot to put one on the kitchen side, like with the hood vent and everything. So they were like, it's okay, there's a outlet inside the hood vent, so you can just run that speaker in between the shiplap into the hood vent. We're like, cool, solid, still a workaround, that's fine. We get the house, we go to plug in the Sonos. They have bolted the hood vent to the wall from the inside, so you can't take it off without, which is what we're eventually going to do, is cutting it off so we can get the Sonos, because right now we have this ugly wire going down the backsplash, and I absolutely hate it, but we're gonna have to get some kind of saw and saw the hood vent off. Oh, originally, so in the tiny home, there is our entertainment unit is off to the side when you first walk into the living room, and the TV comes up out of a box that has our fireplace in it. Originally, that was going to be in the middle, and the stairs were going to be on both sides. During the building process, we were convinced to move it to the left because the idea was they were going to have the kitchen counter go all the way up to the back of that fireplace, so we'd have more kitchen counter space. And then around the final days, we come in, and there's this inexplicable space where we assumed, because of the previous conversation where we moved the fireplace, that there would be counter and cabinet, which would be awesome. I like one more thing of cabinet on the bottom would be great. But there's not. There's just this inexplicable space, which right now we put the dog food in. We're trying to figure out what to do with it. Like, in a perfect world, there would be a cabinet and a counter space there, but there's not. Oh, and this part is just annoying, and we can fix it for like $20, and we just haven't done it yet. We shouldn't have to, so I'm annoyed about it. Our hood vent, when they came through and parked the house, I was like, where's the bottom of the hood vent? Like the vent part, the grate part. And they're like, oh, somebody lost it, but we'll mail you, we'll get in touch, and we'll get the part, and we'll mail it to you. 9 months ago. We still have received no bottom of the hood vent. So we're just gonna have to buy one off Amazon, I'm sure, but for right now, I just look at it all the time and I hate it, which is my fault, but I just don't want to pay. I'm sure it's like $20, but it's just so frustrating. Okay, so now we're on to challenges, which aren't things I hate, but things that we're going to have to do, or not have to do, but I would like to do to make the tiny home better, which is, I mean, it happens in all houses. Like, you buy, there's stuff you want to change, and ideally it's easier because there's not that much space, so I can make it exactly how I want to because there's not a lot to do. So firstly, one of the challenges to owning a tiny home is finding a place to park it. As I mentioned, we're in an RV park because We looked for months and we just couldn't. Originally we wanted a lot, like to buy like not a huge, but like an acre or so, because like it's a small house. Once you buy an acre, there's a lot of space. Somebody has joined us. Anyway, Yush. So we looked into buying a lot, but you have to clear it, septic tank, run power, the whole thing. It was just not viable right now. But a lot of places you had to find a lot that was not in city limits. A lot of people have ordinances. It couldn't be in an existing neighborhood because a lot of neighborhoods have like your house has to be a certain size thing. So we ended up in an RV camp just because of those kind of issues with finding a place to park it, and that's one of the challenges. We're lucky because we're about to move to a lot that wanted a tiny home specifically on it, and it's a big lot, especially compared to what we have now. So we've lucked out with that, but overall finding a place to park it is difficult. If moving the tiny home, Andy nor I have ever like trailered anything of any kind. Eventually I would like to be able to move this tiny home on our own, but right now for this move we've hired a company, so she is a challenge to move currently. Maybe one day I'll learn to trailer her around, but she is large. Ma'am, you okay? Hitting the sauce today? Some improvements we would like to make to the tiny home. Oh, when we first walk in, I would like a bench with storage right there. Madison said she'd help me build it because she said that looks super easy. Just what they call on Pinterest, a banquet bench with like a liftable top, and you put storage, you put a cushion on there for all like our shoes and probably some jackets to go in just as you're leaving would be awesome. This improvement is not specific to tiny home. It has been exacerbated by the fact that it is a tiny home and it is a tiny closet, but I've never been good. I've always been not good with figuring out how to store my clothes in a way that will make me be able to like walk in and go, those are all my clothes, I can choose from them. I usually just choose the first 5 items that catch my eye, put them on my body, and then my mom goes, what are you wearing? And I go, I think I look great because I dress like a 5-year-old. I just put on items of clothing that make me happy, like a child. Whether they go together, that's whatever. I'm off on a tangent. Anyway, the closet. When we first got it, it had a single rod for hanging stuff in the middle. No, I think we bought that one. When we first got it, I think it only had above the water heater, like a tiny little rack thing that was going the wrong direction for use. It was just awful. And then we added 2 clothing hanger rods. I think one's actually a shower rod in the middle and then on the side. And then I've got bins with clothes in them. And it's hard to get to the bins. I just don't like it. So I think what we're going to do is leave the one on the side, rod on the side up with hanging clothes, and then put about 4 shelves inside that middle part where all the foldy clothes, socks, that kind of thing will live. My notes say wallpaper the Fridays, and I'm assuming that was wallpaper the fridge. I saw a TikTok a while back of this lady who took this wallpaper, it's like removable wallpaper, and she wallpapered her fridge. And I went ahead and bought the wallpaper. We are scared to put it on there because we're scared to mess it up. And so I want to wallpaper that, and it shouldn't take that long, but we're just both scared to do it. Drawer organization. This goes hand in hand with entry stuff organization. We have a bunch of drawers, and you just throw the things in there, and when there's such limited storage space, that needs to be organized. Also, entryway. I want to get I've realized you need some kind of entryway thing to put your keys, your sunglasses, the stuff you grab on the way out, which you didn't really need before because usually in a big house you would have some kind of entryway table or something, but you don't have that in a tiny house. What happens is all of that exit and entrance type stuff that you need ends up just sitting on the fridge and looking stupid. So something to hang the keys on, that kind of thing would be ideal. Oh, and then we opted for no cabinets because we felt like cabinets would close off the space. That means you have to, you know, get aesthetically pleasing cabinet stuff while also be functioning, and we're still working on that. I imagine it looks like one of those open shelf Pinterest things, but I'm not good at that. I thought I did well because my coffee and my sugar are in cute little clear things. I was like, ooh, that's very Pinterest. But then I look at it and I'm like, something's got to be done. So aesthetically pleasing up the shelves is also in the plans. And finally, something that will get done during this thing is, right now, all of my jewelry and makeup are crammed into the bathroom. And I'm using the hand towel rack to hold scrunchies and bracelets, and it's just a hot mess. But my mom bought me what I've been looking at for a long time. It's a full-length medicine cabinet that you put your jewelry and makeup in. You can go right at the entrance. I can sit like on the stairs and do my makeup, and we can actually use the hand towel rack for hand towels now. It'll be great. So those are my thoughts 9 months into living tiny. I like it. That's the thing, because everybody in my life knows that I have a tiny house, and they'll be like, oh, how's a tiny house? And I never know what to say, because I'm like, it's just like a regular house. Like, it's not, you know, I don't think it's exciting, because you just, I don't know, you get out of bed and you go cook breakfast and then you sit in the living room. I don't think it's that different than, it's not that different than how I lived before. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe it is. We'll find out. I'm going to try to feature the tiny house more, because that's hot material, hot content. Tiny house. People love it. Tag it. Get it going. Anyway, this was a lovely chat. Hope you liked it. If you liked it, like it. If you like. Oh no. Too much coffee.